When I say this is the collab of the century, bro, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Oh, I don't even need an introduction. I'm sure all of your viewers already know who I am.
Oh, word? Okay, Mr. Rishab Jain, all right? We got the homie in the building right now. Today we're gonna do something very special, okay? A lot of you guys have been emailing me, spamming my DMs, spamming my comments, asking me, Pratik, should I do this club? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I know for a fact that you guys have been doing the same thing to Rishab as well, so we're just gonna sort this once and for all. I got a tier list made right here on screen. We have all the different tiers of activities and a wide range of things that you guys are probably involved in. So let's go ahead and start getting into it, start talking about it, see where these rank in comparison with one another, and what you should be doing in high school. If I started this video without talking about science fair, I'm telling you, Rishabh, like this would be like a disgrace to humanity. There are levels to competing in science fair. Like, I thought I was like sweaty and competitive and like really into this in high school. Like Rishabh, like you've low-key, like you are the blueprint when it comes to science fair stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my fair share of science fair experiences. I've competed at all sorts of levels. I mean, I even saw you at the, we're both from Oregon, in case you all didn't know. So I've even seen Pratik at some of our local science fairs, and so it's been a blast. And I mean, science fair, I'd say is a pretty top tier activity. It for sure helped me get into all the colleges that I wanted to get into. I'm gonna say Indian Auntie's gonna love you, and it's for several reasons. But I'll let you start.
No, this is actually facts. Okay, just quick backstory. If y'all didn't know, me and Rishabh know each other. Like, we literally grew up going to, like, high schools right next to each other in Portland. I see this guy, like, all the time at science fairs. We've competed against each other. I'm not gonna lie, like, okay, the image I've used is, like, this, like, Breaking Bad scene with, like, Walter White and, like, Jesse Pinkman. Dude, this is, I'm telling you right now, this is, like, me and Rishabh after we just, like, beat the whole competition down, win first and second place, and we're just, like, basking in, like, just, like, the glory of having just, like, annihilated these, like, poor freshman Indian kids. No, but on the real, though, like, science fair is just an all-around phenomenal activity. From the fact that you're getting involved in research work, high-level, legitimate research work, the amount that you learn from the activity, all the way to the actual awards that you win, awards that are recognized at a national, international level, thousands of dollars being won in awards, in scholarships, and prize money, the amount of leadership that you can gain if you're running your school's science fair club, or if you start a brand new club and you act as like a founder there, it truly is like one of the greatest activities you can get involved in. I'm not just saying this because it was one of my main activities in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I totally want to echo that. Science fair got me into research. It helped me publish papers. Now I'm doing research at Harvard Medical School. I never would have landed these types of opportunities if I wasn't doing science fair in high school. That being said, I also want to talk about the personal aspect. Science fair helped me develop like my voice, be able to speak publicly, be able to make this YouTube channel and talk about all this stuff. So yeah, I mean, science fair is totally up there.
Yeah, I think the public speaking is one of the like the best things that you're touching on here. Like it's actually facts. Like all of this public speaking like talent that I think that has come to this day for me and for you, it actually all starts in science fair. Anyways, bro, we've already ranked it. Like this is not budging anywhere. Okay, one of the best activities you can do. The next thing I wanted to talk about is an activity that's a little bit more subjective. I almost might go out and say that this is the most subjective activity on our list today. It's actually volunteering. And I think that there's so many different types of volunteerings you can do, so many different directions that you can take this, that there's a huge range in spectrum. If we start on like the low end here of like the trashy volunteering that some people like to do, right? And I'm talking like you go to your Oregon food bank or your local community home and you do like 2 shifts of like 2 hours of volunteering and you try to put on your college application, oh, I did 5 hours, I did 10 hours of volunteering here. It's not really impressing anyone. Colleges want to see that you have some kind of community service, you have a little, open-mindedness when it comes to giving back to your area, but they want to see that on a much deeper level. Now, at the same time, if you do volunteering correct, right, you're doing consistent volunteering at something that's meaningful to you, you're learning something from it on a long-term scale, you can get some cool rewards out of this. What do you think, Rishabh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I actually was talking about this on my channel earlier about something called a spike. And so basically, like, if you're volunteering in an area that's actually interesting to you, like, let's say, for example, if you're Pratik, right? You're a couple years ago, he was a budding high school, a budding young medical aspiring high schooler wanting to apply to BSMD programs, eventually going to medical school, right? Volunteering at, something that's related to medicine could be helpful. Whereas volunteering at your local food bank or, something that you really don't have a passion for is a little bit less helpful. So I'd say this is kind of like a mid one where it depends on what where you specifically take it. So yeah, I'd say a solid or passable is totally fair.
Yeah, I'd say it falls somewhere here. I think that generally volunteering is something that you can do well, and I'd put it in solid. I think that if you're doing volunteering and we're talking about it at like a high level, if you guys are watching my channel, like bro, you're not actually like in the gutters here doing like this garbage activity. I'll put volunteering in solid. I think it's a solid activity. The next thing though, dude, I see these leadership activities like all the time. Like you go to like your local like high school club fair, they just shove it down your throat. NHS, like these key club. The thing that I don't like about these activities is that like one, they're marketed as like leadership and community service activities, when you get neither leadership nor community service out of it. Okay, I think it's all cool if you stay after your school's football games and you spend a couple hours picking up trash. But are you really learning anything from it? Are you enjoying it? Are you gaining some kind of experience that you couldn't get if you just went and did volunteering, like this volunteering by yourself? No, not really. Also, like, I was doing a little bit of research, right, into like a club like NHS, for instance. According to Google, back in 2001, there were over 13,000 chapters, not students, chapters of NHS across the United States. Bro, even if you're the president of this club, like, are you standing out to colleges? In addition to that, they also claim that they have over a million students getting involved in this kind of activity annually. Like, for what, bro? You're not standing out for nothing, okay? This activity, bro, I'm sorry, bro. It cannot get any higher than here. This is some doo-doo caca stuff.
Yeah, 100%. This isn't even like a resume patter. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, I need a 10th activity on my Common App. Time to join NHS senior year. I think it actually looks bad for you. Like it's for sure a questionable one where it's like the colleges will be like, oh, are you really doing this because you're interested in volunteering or because you're just looking for, an extra activity to shove on? So for sure, volunteering is way better than, trying to gain some sort of experience through NHS or one of those other clubs. Even the presidents of NHS at like my local chapters or my local schools, like they reported they got nothing out of it. So yeah.
Facts. Okay, and then next on the list, we have to talk about, I'd say nonprofits and initiatives are like, this is like the TikTok boom of like college applications. Like these videos and people are talking about like, like 5 initiatives that you can start in high school. This has just been getting beat down. Now I will say that it feels at times like this activity is beat down to the point where like, it's not actually a good activity because like so many people have it, right? But the truth is like at a competitive level, you need some kind of initiative. Doesn't have to be a nonprofit, doesn't have to be like a business, but you need to do something on your college application. And if that is classified as an initiative, then it needs to be at least some kind of competitiveness. Now, the main thing here is that you're not just coming up with some like vague nonsense to put on your application. It's just not some bullshit activity that you came up with in 15 seconds, but that this is an activity that you actually worked on for some time. You had some kind of an impact in your community. You actually care about it. It's on something that you genuinely believe in, and you put in the work. Like you took this project the length. Once you actually put in the work, now it's not categorized as like this bullshit activity.
Yeah, I agree. And like some initiatives that you start, you might actually end up really liking them. I know a lot of people who start initiatives because they're really passionate about something, but other people who start it for the sake of college applications, but later on they learn to kind of enjoy what they're doing and they'll continue it beyond high school. So I'd say that's totally valid. And, again, a lot of people are like, oh, every kid has a nonprofit nowadays. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit, just like you were saying.
About 1 to 2 months ago, I posted this video on HOSA. I was talking about my opinion on HOSA. Dude, some of y'all started just tweaking in the comments about my take on this. I'm holding my ground. Yes, some people, like, their logic behind why HOSA is like a legitimately like decent competitive club, they start spazzing out like, oh, I live in Texas, and in Texas HOSA is competitive. You don't know what you're talking about. Or they start saying things like, oh, the HOSA is the only activity that I have access to in high school. Like, bro, this is not a legitimate argument to justify HOSA. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about clubs like HOSA, DECA, there's like future business clubs. They're all the same, okay? I've been involved in a lot of them. It's all the same club, just for different niches. If you're willing to take the club the absolute length, if you're out here going to the highest level of HOSA, for instance, going to like the International Leadership Conference, ILC, or like ICDC for DECA, and you're winning like those first place awards, cool. That's dope. In addition to that, if you're also getting some kind of leadership in your high school, fantastic. But for the majority of people, that is not the case. On top of that, that's not the reason why these HOSA clubs even exist. Like, Rishab, I know that you posted a video recently about that. Like, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I personally didn't do HOSA, DECA, any of these clubs for that reason, because I was lucky. I was like one of the lucky people who knew about what those clubs actually were when I was in a freshman year, so I could stay clear and like avoid those. But I have friends who got stuck in those clubs, and then once they put in 2 years of effort, they're like, I might as well continue. And then senior year, they're like, okay, spending 2 years, I could have started doing science fair or started an initiative all on my own. I'm talking about like the president of a local HOSA chapter, or like people who are going to the ICDC or the ILC competitions, and like they're also saying that it's not worth it. So unless, I guess, you're at like the very top of the food chain, which is going to be 0.1% of the people watching this video, yeah, I'd stay clear away from it.
Yeah, the thing about like a club like HOSA is it's like a little bit predatory, because these types of clubs, they have a lot of like fun appeal to them, and then on top of that, it's an easy club to get involved in, right? Starting like a research project and getting involved in science fair, as amazing as it is, it's not for everyone. Like, it's not an easy thing to just start doing. Something like HOSA, people are just telling you to show up. If the culture at your school is also not that competitive for it, it was really competitive at my high school, but at a lot of high schools that I see like out in some of the rural areas of Oregon, it's not like that, and for all of those reasons, I put it in passable. Because even if you just did it like me, where you just show up and you just win and you leave, like, even though I did HOSA, like, I literally had to put it at the bottom of my college application because I just legitimately didn't see colleges finding value in this, and it was true. Okay, we got a cool one next on this list, right? Internships. Hey, big money, big dollars, okay? Internships are an absolute must in high school. Rishab, you're doing like a really sick internship right now, right? With Harvard?
Yeah. So technically I'm already out of high school now, but I will say even my internships in high school were crazy. Just the level of like work that you get to do as a high schooler is quite impressive. Even if you're doing work for like a local business, not like, oh, you're having an internship at like Harvard or MIT, it's still like a surprisingly great amount of experience. You learn amazing skills. You also will be most likely getting paid, which is great. And it shows colleges that you are like genuinely interested in that path, because at the end of the day, the major that you're gonna pursue in college might be one of your careers in the future. And so they want to see that you're prepared for that, not just book smart wise, but like also technically, and internships are just the key to showing that.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better. And the best part about internships, bro, the Auntie and Auntie's gonna love you, man. Like, you spending your summers working at the local university, working in a little lab, you go to those potlucks and they ask you, hey, Rishab, like, what are you doing in your free time this summer? And you tell them, oh, it's no biggie. I'm just, working at Harvard real quick, getting a little internship, you know what I'm saying? This activity is just overall fantastic. Hey, halfway through the tier list, it's time for the bonus activity, okay? You know what we got here today? A special one for you. This is not an academic-oriented activity, but hey, before you click off, it's something very important. One of the most common DMs and questions that I get is like, Pratik, where do I start when it comes to all of this high school work? What should I do? I feel so directionless. When I felt directionless in high school, one of the things that I started doing was not getting involved academically and trying a billion clubs. It was actually focusing a little bit more on me and my personal growth. And that came from working out, from doing some kind of exercise. Now, that's what this bonus activity comes down to. Weightlifting, consistently running, getting involved in some kind of a sport, not at a varsity or crazy level, but just for your own sake, for fun. All of these things can truly open up like your mind and your creativity to a new side of yourself. I legitimately to this day believe that working out consistently truly built the discipline that was necessary to succeed in things like science fairs, in my internships, to actually get my nonprofit off the ground. This was one of the best things that I started doing in high school, and it's something that I'm never gonna look back from.
Yeah, guys, I say this all the time. Like there is a level of physical strength that is developed or needed when you're doing anything athletic, which is true. But there's also a mental aspect that is so often undervalued. I feel like the mental aspect that I gained from running track and doing one of the hardest events, which is the 800 meter, every race, just still after the 400 mark, when your legs are filled with like lactic acid and you're just feeling like dying, continuing on building that grit and mental strength is what helped me then, during long judging sessions at the international science fairs, or working until like midnight or 1 a.m. On my imaging tools during my internships. That mental strength is developed from doing athletics and working yourself out physically as well. So Pratik, looks like you had a great experience in weightlifting. That's awesome. I would also encourage students, if you're running or doing soccer or other types of sports as well, even if it is just for fun, you get that physical aspect, but you also get the mental strength from that.
Exactly, bro. Gotta get locked in. That's what we're talking about. Yo, bro, if you're trying to get locked out though, you're trying to get locked out of the top schools, dude. I'm sorry, Rishab, as much as I would love to drop a mixtape with you, like some kind of crazy rap album, the next To Pimp a Butterfly 2, dude, it's just like, look, it's not for me. Like, I don't know if I got the talent for it. I used to play piano like all the way through high school. Rishab, you've told me that you used to do choir. Look, even like the thing about these activities is it's kind of brutal, because for like the overwhelming majority of people, like especially like if you come from like our Indian families and like you've been doing this instrument for a while, like you're pretty good at it. But at the top level, like being pretty good is like nowhere near enough. Like you gotta be performing in like the Carnegie Mellon halls to be able to put that on your college application and truly have like people be impressed by it. I thought I was pretty good with piano, but I have homies in high school who are like next level good. And even for them, like piano was just like, it's just another activity that they list pretty low on their application because it's just not something that colleges value that much. An instrument is cool, but thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million students also play some kind of instrument, do some kind of art. Next activity we got is a good one. Science bowls and Olympiads. Yo, Rishab, I know you got experience with this one.
Yeah, so I did science bowls since like middle school, and I didn't do Olympiads, but I'm friends with like a bunch of kids who did either the National Science Olympiad thing in the US or participated in like a specific Olympiad for like biology Olympiad, chemistry Olympiad, or one of those things, and even students who won at like the international levels for those competitions. And I gotta say, it takes a lot of studying. Like you have to be not just like smart and like gifted, you have to have the work ethic to be able to study. And I think that shows for colleges. They show that you're genuinely like someone who's interested in a subject. You're not just smart, but you're willing to spend the hours studying for like one of these bowls or Olympiads. So this is kind of like a textbooky knowledge thing. So I wouldn't say it's like as fun or as like well-rounding as science fair is, where you also develop like a bunch of other skills like in communication and stuff like that. But it still is a really good activity to show for college applications as well as just for personal like learning of a subject.
Yeah, dude, overall, like, this is a great activity. It's competitive. I also, like, just like you, like, I don't have that much experience actually competing myself, but my closest friends in college, they did the chemistry Olympiad. They used to compete in these science bowls. They would, like, win at, like, the top, like, the national level. They, like, place and get the rankings, and it helped them so much with college admissions. I remember I went down on a trip to, like, MIT, and I met like a kid from like Albania, and he was like literally like he would consistently like be like a medallion, like top 3 podium like in his country, and that is the entire reason why he's able to go to MIT today and why he's had so much success. This is just a fantastic activity if you're able to commit the time to actually becoming good and then winning at the top level. However, when we're on the topic of like actual like dookie balls activities, bro, you know what I've always felt like? I always feel like Model UN is like an AI generated club. Like it doesn't actually feel like a real thing to me. Like bro, what do you actually be doing here? Like I know, like I've shown up to like meetings like these. I've been to some of these events. But you cannot convince me that this is like actually a productive use of your time. It's fun, but regardless of what field you want to go into, I don't care if it's politics, I don't care if it's literally exactly what you do in Model UN, this is just not the best use of your time. You really don't use that much of it, and it's just not impressive of colleges. On top of that, it's not like you really win like that many awards or anything for this work. Overall, bro, unless your dad donating a building, like, it is what it is. We also have student government, which I'd batch in like a similar category. The thing about student government is this. Think about the number of high schools there are across the entire country, okay? We're literally talking like 10,000 plus. Each of these high schools has a class president for your particular grade. Even if you're at the top of like the student government pyramid, you're still competing with another 10,000 students who have also done this exact same thing. Now, while I don't think it's as bad as some of these other activities down here where like you shouldn't even touch it, if you are doing it, like it pretty much needs to be at like the highest level. But if you are at that level, like it can be a cool thing, like it can be fun, an enjoyable activity, and typically like you take it as like a class as part of school, so it doesn't take up that much time as well. Overall, I think a questionable is a fair response. What do you think, Rishab?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like being a president or like vice president or something like that is really cool. You also get to like do fun stuff like assemblies and things like that. But if you're just like in the student government class, I've heard that you don't really like do anything. So yeah, I think for like the 95% of people who are in student government, it's questionable for sure.
It's actually so sick that in high school, me and Rishab also both did Boy Scouts. I'll be honest, like over all the other activities I did, I had by far like the most fun doing Boy Scouts. I'm gonna set that aside for the like how I do the ranking here, but dude, like overall, like I made some of my actual like lifelong friends doing this. I enjoyed it so much. It's such a good experience, and I took it all the way. Like I went and I got Eagle Scout. Rishab, you got Eagle Scout as well, right?
Yeah, I got Eagle, and you were in like the other troop that was our competitor basically. So it's like we both came from like one of the bigger troops in our city, and I also had just a blast, like met so many people, and a lot of those people went on to become some of my closest friends in high school.
Overall, like you learn a lot from it. I think if you go all the way to Eagle Scout, it's actually like a decent activity. For those reasons, I'm gonna put it in solid. Now the last activity we have to talk about is something that way too many of y'all are making this mistake. Like it's actually a straight up bait. I see a lot of students spending their summers doing these college courses where either you're spending thousands of dollars, or even if it's free, you're spending your time, your entire summer, going and taking like this random ass class at like a local university, like a biology class or organic chemistry class. What are you doing with your time? You do realize that like the clock is ticking here. You only got 1, 2, or 3 more summers until you're applying to college. Those summers should be spent on building your resume, doing something you're truly going to learn from. When you go off and you join like a medical program, or you go into an Ivy League school to become an engineer, those schools don't expect that you're already a doctor or you're already an engineer. You're going to that school to learn. Spend your time doing other things. I don't think knowledge is ever a waste, but when we're talking about time and money being spent, your valuable resources in high school, should that really be going into college courses?
99% of the people who do these types of college courses, they think, oh, I'm gonna get so many credits that I can use to skip half a year or a year of college. And then they go to a college that doesn't even accept any of those credits. So it's just like a waste of time. They'll forget all of the knowledge that they learned by taking this class in freshman summer of after high school. And then 4 years later, they'll be like, yeah, I completely forgot that. I have to take the class again and spend all that money again. Just taking college courses in general is useless. I always say this on my channel, go to YouTube, literally watch like any video by like Stanford, one of those top colleges. They have like all their lectures online for free anyway. So if you're just doing it for the purpose of learning, using that knowledge then to apply to like, let's say science research or your internship, that's good. But taking the college course itself over the summer or like just throughout the year in general for credits, I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, for that reason, we're putting it as a scam. That's going right here. But you know what's not a scam though? Rishab Jain's channel. I'm linking at the top of the description. Y'all should go subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and comment. Thank you all for watching. This has been Pratik. Peace.